Game started.
Bertul from Spain. Let's see. How about d4? See what we get here. d4, f5. Oh, the Dutch. So I don't really know a line against the Dutch. Just a general idea of playing the fianchetto so that you're putting the brakes on the move f4 for a little bit. Now he's playing the old system with the Dutch, not the Leningrad variation, which is more popular these days, but the traditional Dutch. Could even play a Stonewall Dutch with d5 here, I guess. So what's the strategic idea? I'm going to, I guess, put my pawns on dark squares, play my knight to e2, and try and control this f4 square. I could even play knight to h3. From h3, the knight could go to g5 as well as f4. Let's see, is he threatening to do anything immediately? Knight here. So, and I just have a bad bishop over here. Let's go ahead and develop the knight. Actually, I meant to put it on h3. h3 looked interesting. Okay, but here's probably fine as well. And what do I want to do here? Actually, this is my bad bishop, so I want to trade this bishop, right? And put the rest of my pawns on dark squares. Okay, I could trade bishops and then play either c3 or a3, kicking the knight. The knight can't go here, here, or here. It just has to go back. So I think this should be good. Seems like it's kind of gained a tempo for me. And c3 is a nice developing square for this knight, so that's why I played pawn to a3 instead of pawn to c3. And he's given up his dark squared bishop, which is his good one. And okay, he gets a central location for his knight, so he didn't just go back to c6. So, but I still think I have these key dark squares under control with the pawns and the knights. And then I have the bishop patrolling the light squares. I think I'm okay. I can kick this knight away with c4, hitting the knight. It can't go to these 4 squares. It can go back to g6 or e7. And then I can bring my knight to c3 without it getting traded off, keep more pieces on. This opens up this file for the bishop. The bishop looks good. Peeking at the g7 pawn, b7. So the knight goes back, hitting this guy. I want to keep this guy here, and I can't play rook c1 just yet. There's a knight in the way. So the question is pawn to b3 or queen to b3. I'm not sure where I want the queen to go. Let's short up with a pawn. I still want to play knight c3, rook c1. This pawn on b3 will restrict the squares this knight can hop to. Okay, so he's put his queen on a light square. Let's continue developing. It's not making an immediate threat. So we've played a lot of moves, and the only things that have been exchanged are the dark squared bishops. So he's putting another pawn on a light square. And I could continue my dark squared strategy with c4, c5, c4 to c5. Pawn takes, pawn takes. Let's see, is he threatening? If I do nothing, say if I play queen c2 to prepare, rook c1 and rook d1, and then push the pawn. In the meantime, he could play d5 there. In fact, yeah, it looks like he's trying to set up d5. Takes, and well, he's, like I said, he's got this dark squared. I want to things on dark squares. So I think I don't need to be afraid of him playing d5. If he plays b5 or c5, yeah, I should also think about c5 or okay, he didn't play either of those. Might have been more interesting for black to play the move e5 or c5. Might be more interesting. So this blunts my bishop. I want to trade at least once and make sure I have an open file somewhere. Let's see, he could take back with a knight. Knight takes, knight takes. And then I would have kind of a minority attack against this group with 3 pawns here. And also ideas of attacking this d6 pawn. Okay, but he takes with a pawn. Okay, so I can still do a minority attack in the long run with b4, b5, undermining these guys. But there's no rush for that, I don't think. I can pile up on the c file with rook c1. I can play knight to f4, but the knight is a bit of a target on f4. You can play g5 to gain a tempo, and it's not the knight is not going anywhere. Let's start with this. Maybe another idea would be to chase this knight away and place my knight. Okay, so he goes for this square. Yeah, this is always a difficult question. I don't want to leave that knight there. But if I play f3, it's a weakening move. Weakens e3. So, but I don't lose e3 immediately. I can defend it with the knight and the queen. So I just want to kick that knight away. I don't want it to sit there. And I don't think he has a tempo move which would allow him to win the pawn. If he takes the knight, I can take back with the queen, for example, defending e3. And if he just moves the knight away, I have queen d3, I guess. On other knight moves. Okay, he's taking time to think. Well, that's good. I was starting to fall behind on the clock, so I want him to think for a bit. Let's see. Let's make sure we're all still connected. Looks like I'm connected. And it looks like Bertul is connected. Let's see. How long is he thinking for? 6:30 to 5:30. He's thinking for a minute. So let's see. I have played Bertul twice before, and my score is not good. It's one loss and 1 draw. So it's interesting. Even though he's got a lower rating than me, well, two games is not a large sample. Okay, I need to defend the e-pawn. The queen, I think the queen is okay on d3. I have to just watch out for his light-squared bishop, making inroads. But if he pushes, I can play d4. Maybe I want to play d4 anyway, sort of get rid of that weakness by force. d4, pawn takes. Pawn takes. Pawn takes, knight takes, knight takes, queen takes, queen takes. He's got more force than I... No, I have the bishop here. Yeah, okay, so I have enough force to support the move d4. But it does create weaknesses. It creates a weakness on g4, where his knight could hop into. It opens up the f-file, which is double-edged. It opens up lines for his light-squared bishop. So yeah, let's think about it. Pawn push, pawn takes, pawn takes, pawn takes, knight takes. Knight takes, bishop takes. Threatening over here. So I've gotten rid of this knight. Only his bishop can hop into these light squares, and I've got a bishop to defend them. I think I'm okay. He can put a knight on... he can put a knight on d5 at the end of all this, I guess. If he doesn't take immediately, I always have knight takes knight with check to, for example, if he tries to build up pressure on the d file and take advantage of this alignment of the knights here. Well, the knights can defend each other by playing a knight back to c3, but there's also knight takes f6 check. To suddenly open the c file, and I still have ideas. I've opened up a line for his queen onto my a pawn. Didn't notice that. So he's thinking some more. Well, that's good. It's a complicated position. Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with just taking the a pawn. Might be good for black. We can check that out. If he doesn't play it, we'll check it out in the postmortem. So, well, queen takes, we can think about it. Queen takes a3, knight takes knight check, rook takes, pawn takes, kind of wrecks his kingside pawn structure. So maybe I have compensation there. I think he really should just stick a knight on... no, I took it. I was going to say, I think he should probably just stick a knight on d4 there. Well, I should probably take advantage of this opportunity to mess up his pawns a little bit. Try and get some compensation for the pawn I just lost over here. I could have taken directly with the pawn instead of taking with the rook. That might have left him with more force around the king. Maybe it doesn't matter. Okay, so pawn to d4, d5, pawn to d5. He takes, I take, he takes, I take with check. And I'll have a queen, a rook, and a knight. And I'll be holding on to things. And his king will be a bit exposed. My knight won't be in the game, but I can get it in fairly quickly. And he doesn't have to take. He could play c5 himself, but then I'll have a passed pawn. Might be good for something. Let's see, I have to watch this diagonal too. There is a dark squared weakness in this diagonal towards my king. A line of dark squares is queen. If his queen can get to them, that might be annoying. What's good for me in this position is all his pieces are over on this side of the board, and his king is over here.
Check.
And man, where's his king going? And I can play immediately rook to c7. Threatening things like queen c7. Oh, he's letting me play rook c7 with tempo. I was thinking he had to play rook, or king f8. So rook c7 check. He can't block the check, so he's going to have to move the king again. And it's hard to believe the king can come forward, and if the king goes back, the queen goes to the
check.
The queen goes to the 7th rank with a pretty strong attack. Now, whenever I stop checking, he's got a check on a1, so, but I think it's just one check. Queen a1 check. Notice c1 is guarded by the knight at the moment. Queen a1 check, king up to a light square, and he has no way of checking on that diagonal at the moment. He's got a bishop still I have to watch out for. Okay, so let's see. If the king comes forward, then I have queen to g8 check, And the king will have to come forward some more. If it goes to this side of the board, if it goes to the H file, then I have rook takes H7, which will be checkmate. So he will go to the F file. And from there I have checks with the knight. With the
Server
pawn.
announcement.
Should be good. We'll get to that situation. Okay, so he moves the king first. Let's see. This is one of those points in time where it's good to be precise. So, for example, queen here. Now, bishop takes. This is kind of annoying. Queen here. Bishop to f5. Queen f7, bishop f5 defends. Pawn, leaving everything where it is and playing pawn to pawn to g5 threatens checkmate. No, but he can take it with the bishop. Pawn to g4. Okay, so knight f4 threatens the queen check here, which is pretty dangerous. Yeah, threatens mate. Okay, knight g4, bishop here. Wow. I wish I had time. Okay, queen g8. Threatening mate with rook takes. And threatening queen g7. Let's play this and not lose on time. And at least this time I've analyzed the checks, I hope. Check here, king up, and there's no more checks.
Check.
And so I'm threatening rook takes h7 mate. He can play bishop to f4 to defend that. Bishop f5 defends h7. I have queen takes rook if I don't have anything else
Check.
there. Oh, he plays there with a check. Okay, so he's starting to give up material. And I still have a threat of rook takes h7. Oh no, I lose my queen. I guess that's how this guy beats me. Oh, man. Yeah, that was good. Okay, I missed that tactic. Is there anything to play on for? A rook takes. It's no good. I'm just down a queen for a knight. Ah, terrible. Okay, I'm going to resign and check this out in the postmortem. See you guys later.
Resigns.